Today I'm talking to you about what does it mean to lose your virginity? And can we tell? Stay tuned. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Jennifer Lincoln, board certified OBGYN, author, educator, TikTok personality. And today I'm talking to you about what does it mean to lose your virginity? Can we tell? And where did all this come from? I get this question in my DMs a lot. Dr. Jen, what counts as losing my virginity? If I come see you in the office, will you know if I've had sex? Can my parents know? Let's start the conversation by reading the definition in Merriam-Webster of what virgin means, shall we? Got my trusty dictionary here. Definition of virgin: a person who has not had sexual intercourse. An unmarried woman devoted to religion. An absolutely chaste young woman. An unmarried girl or woman. A female animal that has never copulated. Okay, that's interesting. So those are the definitions of virgin. And I think in society, the one that we are most often thinking of when we think of virgin is the one person who's not had sexual intercourse. But it's interesting that the dictionary here has special subcategories of virgin that only relate to women or people who are uterus owners. Are we sensing some sort of bias here? We are. Okay, now for the definition of virginity. Virginity, according to Merriam-Webster, the quality or state of being virgin. Okay. The unmarried life, celibacy. And you might be asking, what is the medical definition of virginity? What do we as OBGYNs, what have we been trained to tell people that this is what virginity is? Okay, are you ready? There is no medical definition of virginity. Yes, you heard it here first, my friends. And we have definitions for everything, like everything. So you might be wondering why we don't have a definition for what counts as virginity. Are you ready for me to blow your mind? There is no one definition for virginity or what a virgin is. Even though Merriam-Webster thinks otherwise. Can you see how even in the dictionary, the definitions aren't that straightforward or totally agree? And here's why. Because when Merriam-Webster says, okay, virginity, you haven't had sexual intercourse. What are we talking about? Are we talking about just penis and vagina sex? What about anal sex? What about men having sex with men? Does that count? Wait, what about women having sex with women? If they don't put anything in that belongs to them, are they still virgins? I mean, do we see how this is crazy? So here's what I want you to step back and think. We have no medically accepted definition of virginity because it's irrelevant. When we use a big umbrella term like virginity, it doesn't help us because when you say that you've had sex, me as an OBGYN, I'm like, okay, what does that mean to you? Does it mean penis and vagina sex, oral sex? Does it mean fingering? Does it mean mutual masturbation? Does it mean using sex toys? Like, what does it mean? And I also want to pause and have a moment here for the term losing your virginity. It doesn't sound good when we lose something, right? Like we lose our car keys, we lose our mind, we lose our patience. Losing your virginity, it sounds like you're in this pure, perfect state, and then you're not. Because you had sex, a penis went into your vagina for like 10 seconds and now you're not a virgin. And all of a sudden that means you're like a different person. If you're starting to think, gosh, I don't like the way this sounds, or this sounds a little like patriarchal and that girls aren't as good when they've lost their virginity, then ding, 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 you win. So the concept of losing your virginity and this whole concept that we're dirty after we have sex, we're not pure, we're not chaste, we're not heavenly creatures, it's there for a reason. It's there to make us think that once we have sex, we are not clean, we are dirty, and that we should wait until marriage to have sex. Now, if you choose to wait until marriage to have sex, if that's what you believe, that is okay. I am totally for that. What I'm not for is the people who don't necessarily believe that, but then feel dirty because they've been told that once they have sex, they're used, they're like a chewed up piece of gum, and they're damaged and nobody will ever want them. And if you think I'm crazy for thinking that, come to my Catholic school where I went and go into some of the more evangelical places where this is still taught today. We call it purity culture, and it's toxic because it tells girls and young women and young vagina owners that they're only good when they're pure and clean, and they can only have sex once they're married. And when they're married and they have sex, well, it better be good and they better be a sex kitten. Oh, but we're not gonna tell them how, and we're not gonna talk about why sex is good and how to have pleasure before that because that's dirty and shameful. So when you get married, I hope you can figure it out. That's insane. Yes, it's insane. So I want you today to understand that virginity doesn't have a definition, and I don't want you to think of it as losing your virginity. There's actually the one medical term that we do have related to sex. I love it because it's so positive. It's called your sexual debut. That is the term for when somebody has had sex. It's like their debut, like have a party. So when your doctor says, are you sexually active? I would love it if you would stop them and say, what do you mean? Because we should be more specific. So in your mind, you might define losing your virginity or whatever term you want to say as penis and vagina sex. Or maybe for you, it includes anal sex, or maybe for you it includes oral sex. Whatever it includes for you, that's fine. The bottom line is that The sex that you should be having should be consensual, it should feel good, and it should be safe. And it should align with your beliefs of what's important to you and not what society thinks. Have I made myself clear? Moving on. Can we tell if you've had sex before? What do you think? The answer is no. There's no virginity test, even though, yes, T.I. with his daughter and the whole taking her in to check and make sure she's a virgin, that's so gross and disgusting. There's no virginity test. In fact, the World Health Organization has put out a statement that says that there is no virginity test, and forcing girls to submit to an exam to prove that they're virgins is a human rights violation. And why does this matter? Because in countries today, many girls are still being subjected to these made-up tests, and if they're deemed not a virgin, they can be kicked out of their family, they can be killed. It's a serious thing. So you might think, well, Dr. Jen, what about the hymen? Everybody says that you have your hymen and then once you have sex, it's broken, and that's completely false. The hymen is just this fleshy tissue that's at the opening of the vagina, and it can break or tear from lots of things not related to sex, like using tampons, riding a bike, riding a horse, falling, just playing roughly when you're a kid. So if your hymen is not what we call quote unquote intact, it doesn't mean you've had sex definitively. And so when you come in and I do an exam on you, whether it's a pelvic exam or a pap smear, there is one way that I can tell if you've had sex. Are you ready for it? It's if you tell me. Otherwise, I have no idea. Well, I guess I used to say, well, if you were pregnant too, but with IVF and fertility treatments, you can absolutely get pregnant without having sex. So, haha, touche. So we can't tell. It's important that when you do see us, that if you are having sex, to tell us, because it helps us help you best. And if you're concerned about what we can share with other people, you can totally check out this card above where I talk about confidentiality and how it works in the exam room, especially when you are a teenager or a legal minor. Have I cleared up your concerns about what virginity is or isn't? And are you now less afraid, thinking that you're gonna lose something terrible and never get it back, or come into the office and we're gonna do a virginity test? I hope it's been helpful. If you like this kind of content, go ahead and subscribe, click the button, click the bell, all that good stuff. If you've got questions or comments, please go ahead and drop them below, and follow me at Dr. Jennifer Lincoln on Instagram and TikTok for more. And if you want more content like this, I cover it here in my book. And yes, I do cover the question, can you tell if I'm a virgin? Lots of other good content. Link in my show notes to buy. Have a great day and stay safe out there.